All right,
Okay,
guys, we're
good.
going to jump right into it. We're going to pretty much just, I guess, talk about some do's and don'ts, some things I feel like FSU should do or try to do against the Miami Hurricanes to be successful. Some things they absolutely can't do to kind of avoid from losing this game. And then Larion's going to jump into it and give his part as well, just to give his take on how he feel like this game will go, good and bad for Miami, what they could do to be successful and what they should do or try to do rather, what they should try to rather avoid um, in order to not lose the game and give FSU momentum in certain situations. Then we'll get our score prediction and jump into that as well. Um, let's talk about it, man. So my keys to victory a little bit. Some of the do's and don'ts for FSU for this game. Just looking at how Miami has played in the first few games, and of course how FSU has played in the first few games, and of course the Virginia game. We got to continue, which they've done a good job at. They're the number one rushing attack in the country. We got to continue to establish the run and be committed to it. That's something that Gus does a good job of. I don't think he'll ever kind of venture away from it. It's pretty much been his identity. He doesn't have to be 6 yards per carry like what we're averaging, which is crazy. Just to be around 4.4, in between 4.4 and 4.8. I think we had 4.7 against Alabama. If we do something similar to that against Miami, just to keep them honest and that type of deal and stay ahead of the chains, I think FSU will be all right. And of course, be creative and run the ball, which we've done. That's the dynamic part about Gus's rushing attack, and it's just not just ground and pound, two running backs or something along those lines. He can gas you in a multitude of ways, around the edge with speed, up the middle, of course, with the running backs and counter and things like that. You got Danzy, you got Jalen Lucas, two different dynamic type of playmakers. And then, of course, you got Promar, Gavin Sawchuk, your hard runners, and then your Swiss Army knife and Tommy Castellano. So that's why it's so hard to kind of stop the running game because you're getting attacked in so many damn ways. It's not just your conventional running game, running in between the tackles, giving the balls to the running backs. We got the end arounds and the reverses and all that type of deal. Be turnover free, man. That's shit. That's one of the main things that got us behind against Virginia turnovers, right? Which I didn't understand at all. We were driving. I think we had two successful runs, like 16 yards in a row. Kasaya Holmes, this first and goal against Virginia for whatever reason. And I told you guys in the previous video, these are the only concerns I had with Gus, the only issue I had with Gus as far as the play call in the Virginia game. Those two plays, that first down with first and goal, keep running the damn ball. They can't stop the run. We got cute and tried to throw the screen pass to what a bubble pass to Squirrel White, ended up getting intercepted by the defensive end because they had pressure in Tommy's face. And then that 4th and 1 with like 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where we did that funky three tight end set in play action and try to throw the ball instead of just running down their throats for the first down. Those are my only two issues. So continue to run the ball and be turnover free. It's coincidentally, we had two interceptions on those plays. And of course, man, we got to do a better job against the damn run. Like that shit was crazy what Virginia did. They had over 200 yards rushing. We do get Kevin Wynn back on the defensive line, which is a big plus. The new depth chart pretty much got the Twins as co-starters, which is another big plus. Shout out to those freshmen. I mean, they were outside of DJ, they were the best defensive linemen on the field against Virginia. Just didn't have that many reps. Speaking of DJ, I know people have been talking about, I guess, his lack of stats or playmaker ability, so to speak, in the middle. Understand within this new defense, he's a nose tackle, right? DJ is getting 2, 3 to 4 motherfuckers on him pretty much every damn play. It's crazy. It's a picture on Twitter that's been going around where Virginia you literally triple teamed this dude in the middle, both guards in the center, and Bama double teamed him. So what does that fall on the linebackers, right? And that's been the biggest issue, the big issue against Virginia. The linebackers pretty much got exposed that game. No ways around it. And there was a combination of a mobile quarterback and Virginia using a lot of misdirection. The good thing about Miami is their run game is similar. Their run style rather is similar to Bama. It's not the same type of misdirection that you'll see against Virginia. It's more so shit. We just got better men up front. We're gonna punch you in the mouth type of deal. So that's the good thing against with playing against Miami versus Virginia. These backers can more so react and be physical versus just thinking and stuff. And that's another thing. We got to be physical. Tony White pretty much mentioned it in his press conference. Like it was the longest run Virginia had, even though they had those 200 plus yards, was like 28 yards, and that was the Earl Earl Little missed tackle, so to speak, and Earl met him at 3, 4 yards at the line of scrimmage. If Earl wrap up, that play goes differently. But Earl tried to, which I don't understand. He comes with a lot of force. He comes hard as hell. But you still 190 at the end of the day, right? So you throwing your weight around, you got these 220 backs, and granted, like a good running back can just go bounce off just like Virginia did and keep their feet moving. If you wrap up, that play is dead. But we was a lot of running plays that pretty much bled over into secondary. They were meant for like 2 to 3 to 4 yard gains, but ended up bleeding to be 7 to 8 yard gains. That's a physicality thing. So we got to be more physical against Miami because this is the most physical offensive line we're going to see, and probably maybe the most physical running back we'll see this season as well too, because he definitely falls forward on. I rarely seen him fall backwards. He definitely falls forward on a lot of his tackles. Real physical guy. And running the football. I think I'll get Lyles back as well too, which is also going to help the running game. But again, we can't give up long drives. 2 drives against Virginia where it's 14 minutes. That took up 14 minutes of time on the play clock. The offense literally was off the field for a whole damn quarter and still put up 35 points in regulation on no 500 plus yards offense. So if you minimize those long damn drives to where we're keeping our offense on the bench, I believe our offense can score points, then we should be fine. Our tackles will definitely be tested in pass. This is probably the best. I guess you could say Miami and Clemson as far as defensive lines, but maybe the best defensive ends you will see. Definitely the best defensive end, period, in Bain. And of course, you got your residential elder, man, who's probably should be getting Social Security pretty soon in Mesdor. But we've been talking about Mesdor since the damn
Yeah, my dog getting up there. I ain't gonna hold you.
I remember we was talking about him in 22 or something like that. Yeah, Tommy probably the most elusive guy that Miami has seen thus far, probably in the entire season. I'm not sure who the rest of you guys, but it was not too many guys that's more elusive than Castellano. You want to put Beck in passing situations and throwing downs. I'm not confident in that, to be honest with you. I think we do have to do a better job of guarding the middle of the field, linebackers, and that type of deal. That's an area that Miami can exploit with the slot receiver and Tony. But if we put Miami in passing situations, I'm really not confident with Beck pushing the ball downfield. Rarely did it against Florida. In the time he did, I think he threw a pick to your boy out of Lakeland, the DB. Forgot his name. McClain.
Yeah.
And hell, even against Notre Dame, hell of a catch by number 7, but he pretty much floated that pass and put him in no man's land. Like he could have been in the hospital.
Yeah, I was cussing him out. I'm live in the stadium.
I bet.
Said, what the you in live time. You like, bro, what are we doing? And then to see that snag, he does have a tendency at times to throw off that back foot with a little pressure coming in his midsection. It's like, that's just not wise, and it caused a couple of picks in the USF game too. One of them, at least, for sure. That's a flaw that he got to continue to work out his game for sure.
Yeah, so that's if we could put you guys in that situation, especially I also think being on the road, night game and dope. First time that Miami is being tested on the road, and this the toughest environment that you could possibly play in, especially from a Miami standpoint, playing night game on the road in Doak Stadium. So that's going to be interesting. Even though I think Beck is a veteran, he won't really be rattled too much. He's played in some tough environments over the years. But like I said, we got to get pressure on. That's the tough part about it because Miami offensive line is so good and keeping them upright. So this is going to be Tony White is going to have to get in his bag. He's going to have another Bama type of output and get creative within the pass rush. And even against Virginia, the few times we got home against Virginia, we had safety blitzes and things like that. So we're definitely going to have to get creative to make Beck uncomfortable. And if we do that, we could be okay. But just a few stats I want to talk about as far as at the team, what FSU has seen thus far from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. Like Virginia, and I think Virginia offense is pretty damn good. Like they're an old team. We talking about Mesidor. They got a bunch of AARP guys on their team as well, like 5th year, 6th year guys and things like that. Virginia's a pretty good offense. They're ranked 5th. Bama's is ranked 37th on O. And this on a comparison, I do think Miami defense is good. I don't think they've been tested to that degree. Notre Dame offense is pretty good as of late, but for some reason they didn't trust the court. I guess first, I'm gonna say for some reason I guess I understand why they didn't trust them. Road game, first start, that type of defense. We feel like our running game should be elite, which it wasn't against Miami during that game. So they were kind of, I don't want to say lazy. They were chill within the play call until Miami got over that interception. They started trying to push the ball downfield. And they had a little bit of success with that. I think Notre Dame had pretty good receivers. They had some success when they tried to push the ball downfield. But we're talking about offenses. Like, I mean, UF is fucking trash on offense, and then USF is trash on offense too. That's all I got as far as some of the keys, do's, and don'ts. I want to get your take on things, and then we'll get into our prediction and go from there.
All right. I'll just take it, I guess, from an offensive defensive standpoint. So offensively, this is a 3-3-5, which, we played NC State over the years. They ran a 3-3-5 for a long time, and it could be one of them real tricky defenses when executed right. And Tony White's probably one of the best in the game currently right now. One of the few people that's running, but he does do a good job at it. So I think some of the keys to the game for us offensively, just continue to tote the rock. Let's try to run it at them. Um, let's try to, because that's the thing. We don't get too fancy. We don't bounce it outside too much because the O line is so, it's a massive O line. It's a lot of pushing around. In a college game, it ain't quite like NFL. Like you can just keep pushing, right? And they'll just let guys. It's weird. It's weird because it sounds like
Bro, like even
it's
against, I
damn
think
near cheating.
y'all had about a 15-yard. I'm like, come on, bro, blow that damn whistle,
Yeah,
bro.
I agree. It's weird in the college game. They literally would just let you just push and carry.
Push it to the end zone, bro.
I'm
Like
like,
you
yo,
keep pushing.
fam, he should be down, but that ain't how they blow it in college. So, that's just going to be one of the strengths of the team. They're just massive all across the front. I mean, our center's our smallest guy, and I think he's coming in at like 6'3". So, I mean, you're looking at a bunch of 6'6" guys. The much maligned Samson Okunlola coming in and getting his, he getting his 30 snaps a game, putting in work, probably be a starter for us next year. But I think the key is going to be clock control by running that rock. Continue to just take away the opportunities. We know how dangerous, Castellanos could be. Any quarterback that can hit the deep shot and just tuck it and snatch off, and run down the field for 30, 40, maybe even more yards, it's going to always be a hard matchup for anybody any day of the week. So I think for us, the key is to just keep the ball out of his hands, limit possessions as much as possible. Something we've been able to do so far this year is be lean heavy on the run, control the clock, just kind of impose our will. So I think, especially early on, test their chin, see how tough they are at the D line. Didn't look great against Virginia last week, so I can absolutely see, hey, let's see what they got. Let's
You
just go
gotta
back
ask.
at it. Yeah,
You
you
gotta
gotta
ask.
ask, gotta show me. And a lot of what I see in this team this year to me kind of reminds me of like that Michigan team that just won the Natty a few years ago. It's not necessarily going to be the prettiest offense. It's not going to be like a lot of slinging it around like it was last year. I think a lot of this team, and it could change, it could transform a little bit over the year. We still a little early in the year. But I think this team is just going to lean on just ugly football, just lining it up and trying to run it at people. And then from that, something we haven't seen a lot of, but I think it's something would be good to kind of implement at this point in the season, coming into a rivalry game, big game like this, where you want to try to break the spirit of that crowd. I've been in Doak many times. I mean, I don't even know how many times I've been, but it is, one of the best fan bases out there. It's going to be a live environment. They show up in general, but of course for this game, it's going to be a whole, uh, it's going to be a whole slew of people out there. I just seen somebody say we ain't played a dry game yet. Uh, I I heard it wasn't gonna rain again. I heard at one point it was, but I guess as we getting
I
closer to the
was at
week,
one point, but it was more so morning. It wasn't gonna be night though.
yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully, because we have not played a dry game yet either. And that's another thing people talk about. Some of the offensive woes. I'm like, well, we also had to play in the rain every single game. And I wouldn't call them woes. It's just I don't necessarily think. Don't look for Cam Ward show.
This isn't the same, right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's just not going to be and that's not something you should expect. So, but yeah, I like to see if we offer the run, open up the play action a little bit this game, take opportunities to just get them to bite down if you can establish that run and take a few shots. Beck, he definitely wants to take them, and you can see a frustration in his face when he don't get to take them. But they got to be there, and it's got to be the right pass. But one thing I like about him too is he will take the check down. So I say let's try to work those linebackers, especially. I think there's an opportunity there. I saw some of y'all stats from the middle of the field last year. I mean, this last game, and it
It was
was
bad.
abysmal. Yeah, it was terrible how
And I
much
feel like that's you guys' bread and butter with passing, especially with the receiver. So again, that's gonna
right.
be interesting as well too. If Tony White can answer, if he can keep the run game in check to where it's not those long ass drives and the Beck isn't carved out the middle of the field, then it could be interesting. If you guys do have those things going, the run game and the middle of the field, it could be a shootout. That could be. But my thing with that, with it being a shootout, I feel like we're going to score, but I think your defense is going to stop us. My thing with that is it goes back to my point about running the football and you guys run the football in long drives and then taking away drives from our offense.
It's got to be that if we're gonna have a shot, it's got to be keep the ball away. Just that ability to just be super explosive. It looked a little tricky sometimes last week. I saw him toss a few up there that questionable. You like, hey, got to watch that time. You don't want to just fling it in the air like that. Now you got to be careful with some of those, but some of those gonna turn into big plays too. So yeah, I want to see, try to go at try to see let Tony work the middle of the field. Elijah Lofton was a guy we started working in the offense a little bit more last week. He's that kind of H back, undersized, tight end type player we put out there. He probably only coming in at about 6'2", but nah, just an athletic guy that once you get the ball in his hand, he's basically a running back. And we used him last year in the spring as a running back because we were short, because of injuries. So yeah, could try to use the middle of that field. This is it's a copycat league, right? So if you see something work, of course, Florida State's going to try to mitigate that because they know, hey, these they're going to look at that and see what it worked. But again, you got to try it out, see exactly what you can get done with that. And watch some of the O line as good as it's been. Had a lot of little silly pre-snap stuff. You don't shoot yourself in the foot, and that was at home. All these have been home games. That's another important detail we got to watch out for this game. It's going to be some crowd noise, obviously. Brock and Miles was having some trouble with the ball, with the rain. I don't know if it was slipping. I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're doing. How you get a snap infraction? You like jerking and dropping the ball, little things like that. And they, some of them happen to be little drive killers. Now, luckily, the game wasn't in threat in these type of situations per se, but again, it's a rivalry game. It can go a way you're not necessarily expecting it, so you absolutely want to minimize any self-inflicted wounds in this game, and that includes Beck. Just take care of football. You're not gonna be asked to do a lot. He can treat this like a pro game, man. I don't think we're gonna want him to throw the ball no more than 22 to 25 times. If we do more than that, it's trouble for us. I can tell you that right now. Right. If we get into just, if we got to get out there and throw the ball around 35, 40 times, something went wrong. Something went terribly wrong, and we fighting for our lives. So I think that's the keys on offense, man. And take a few shots. I think it's time. Test downfield a little bit. I think y'all got some pretty good cover corners. I know y'all typically, Florida State's usually a man team. I feel like y'all been running a little more zone this year.
On the more zone scheme.
Yeah. So maybe some stuff to beat behind the zone. So let's pull out a few surprises. Like you said, we Lyle may be back this week. Probably gonna be back this week. And JoJo Trade is another guy who, I know y'all been, the whispers is who is he? They said he was gonna be the guy. Our fans are saying, where's JoJo? We've been expecting him. We've been waiting to see him. We haven't really got to get a good glimpse of him this year either. So yeah, I mean, that's another thing. See if you can get some of these guys. If you're gonna put them out there, man, it could be a little bit of a surprise attack. So see if we can utilize some of those guys. Defensively, it's pretty simple, man. Stay disciplined. Use good eye discipline. These guys going, Castellanos gonna have a lot of read option opportunities. He's elusive. He's a smaller guy, which a lot of people look at the downside of being a smaller guy. But then the upside is, as funny as it may seem, sometimes you just lose sight of him. Yeah. And that little joke be done tuck the ball, and before you know it, you look in the wrong direction. Hit the corner and ate you up for some big gains. So it's going to be very important that we use discipline, especially great eye discipline from the linebackers. And Bain's a good guy at containing the edge. So is Mesidor. Guys are going to really have to make sure that they're containing the edge and not just crashing down and allowing stuff to spill out to the outside. If we could do that, I think our corners, our secondary in general, could do a decent enough job matching up with with your receivers. I think that match right there is I don't feel overwhelmed or overpowered in that regard. So I think if they continue to do their job, the front seven really does their job. It'll allow that secondary to just just play sound football and not get too out of position. Now, one thing with the secondary, I will say, 29 Frederic, that's my guy. One issue you can watch with him is he can get a little antsy, press a little too hard, and get beat. So it's going to be important for him to pick and choose his spots, not get too aggressive, because we absolutely know there's going to be some deep shots taken, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that, just because you press a little too much, and next thing you know, the man will beat you off the line. And it's happened to him a few times this year. Maybe reading a little bit as too much as the news clippings, that freshman All-American stuff get to your head. You got to realize it's still a long way to go and a lot more football to learn. So just want to make sure he stay and play within himself. The other side, Lucas, I mean, he been playing so God forgot you on the team. I ain't lying to you. I remember he got in on the tackle.
It's a good corner.
Yeah, I said, yo, who is 6? I really didn't know who 6 was. I was like, oh, Dance Lucas. You just don't see him. You just don't see him. You don't hear about him. So he's doing a good job. I see why Wisconsin mad. He's doing a good job of holding down his side of the field. So, I think that's it, man. Really, just try to limit the possibilities. We got to force some 3-and-outs, get the crowd out of it early. If you guys start putting together little drives, getting those. I ain't gonna say no 4th and 14s, but
That shit crazy.
converting 3rd and 9s. The downs that we're supposed to get out of. When you start off good. Oh wow, this is great. But if you get that crowd behind this team when they converting, some of these 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 9s, or even the short ones, it deflates your team a little bit and it ignites the crowd that much more. So, that is the true advantage of home field advantage. Because the thing is, the home field advantage go right out the window if you ain't getting people nothing to cheer about. You can suck the energy out of the room pretty fast. I heard Saban just say the other day, he said he was taught to make them sit on their hands. So, and that's the truth of the matter. Like, if you can take them out, I don't care who your team is, eventually that shit start to get real. Like, I don't think we're gonna win this game, dog. So you gotta give people something to cheer about. So, I'd say that's it. Obviously the regular cliche stuff, man. Limited turnovers, all that old regular stuff. I don't think this would be a turnover heavy game, anyways. I can't see. I think both teams will do a pretty good job taking care of the ball. If anything, if we had it our way, maybe we could rattle Castellanos and get them to throw a couple of those, a couple of them floaters up there. And, we got some pretty tall corners in the secondary, so maybe we win some of them jump balls. I know y'all got like a 6'5" receiver too. What's bro name? Ain't he from Arizona State too?
6'6" from USC.
USC. Okay. Yeah. I don't want them problems. I'm
No,
gonna
he a
try to
beast.
take him out of the
I'm
game.
not even gonna lie to you. He a better version of Johnny Wilson, bro. That boy nice. His
Johnny was
dad.
nice for y'all, man.
Yeah,
A
he
better
was.
version of Johnny's nice.
He's a faster version, and he's more athletic, bro, which is kind of crazy to say because Johnny was pretty damn athletic. Dominique Robinson, his dad, played at Florida State
Okay.
with Chris Ricks and those guys. Speaking of 4th and 14, if you remember that Hail Mary that Ricks threw the PK Sam to beat Florida in the swamp, Ricks also had that same drive. He converted to 4th and 14 and continued to drive. And Dominique Robinson, Duke's dad, was on the receiving end of that 4th and 14.
Oh,
I
that's
just jump
crazy.
into it and get into score predictions, man. For me, of course, FSU is going to win this game. I got it 34-28 nose. I can see 34-28 to 34-31, something along those lines. Like I said, I do think FSU is going to score. Gus is a hell of an offensive coordinator. And kind of to your point, Miami's defense is very aggressive. And how do you kind of slow down aggressiveness, misdirection, show them a lot, give them a lot of keys to read. That's how you kind of slow down that, make them think, right? So we're going to definitely make you think 100%. If you guess wrong, it could be out the gate. If you guess right, it could be successful. But I'm going to go 34-28 nose. Doak is going to play a factor as well.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, in recent history, like this game
Always
it's a
close.
good rivalry games, typically close. There've been a couple of we had the 42-point whoopings. We handed out one, and y'all gave us one about what 2 years, 3 years after that. And in recent years, like it's really kind of been the better team. All in all, I think to this point, I think this is a good test to really see if we truly are the team that I think we are. This is the most confident I've been in Miami football, and man, I maybe them 20 years y'all keep talking about. It might have been that long. Because even like when we was going crazy in 2017, the turnovers. I'll be honest, as a real fan, I'm like, hey, this shit kind of fool go, dog. Like we getting all these turnovers, but I don't like this offense. And what if the turnovers dry up? I feel like this is probably one of the more complete teams we had in a very long time. So
Which I agree with.
I think if things go our way, I do believe y'all will score. I think if nothing else, you'll be able to get a couple of big strike plays on us. So I don't think it'll be nothing where we'll just completely eradicate what you can do on offense. I don't think it'll be that type of party. But I think if we hit the keys of what we want to do in this game, I'm gonna take the Canes in this one, 38-28.
30-28, I like it.